Now, did I give myself a DIY haircut? Yes. Is it salon quality? Not at all. But am I kind of into it? Absolutely. What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing well, and welcome to the next installment in our SEO for Therapists Deep Dive series. Today, we're going to talk all about SEO for mobile. So first and foremost, nowadays, we know that more than half of all Google searches are coming from people typing a search into their phone as opposed to using their desktop or laptop computer. I mean, let's face it, there's about a 50-50 chance that you're watching this video from a mobile device right now. Am I right? So even if your website is incredible and you've optimized for SEO on desktop and you haven't done anything at all to optimize for SEO on mobile, there's a chance you could be missing out on at least 50% of potential organic traffic that could drive to your website. So in today's video, I'm gonna offer a few key tips you can utilize to make sure your website's SEO is optimized for mobile. Let's get into it. Welcome to Private Practice Skills. I'm Dr. Marie Fang, psychologist in private practice. I post videos offering tools I learned the hard way about starting and growing private practice so that you don't have to. So in 2018, Google made a significant switch in how they go about analyzing which websites should show up first in search results. Before the switch in 2018, they used to look at your desktop version of your website first and utilize that information to determine where you show up in search rankings. But now they've flipped the script and they look at the mobile version of a website first in order to determine where that website should show up in search rankings. And it makes sense because Google knows that more than half of people are probably searching on their phone, so they should be able to access a website that's most useful, user-friendly on their phone as opposed to the desktop, laptop situation. So practically, this means that if you haven't started designing your website yet, then it's most useful to design the mobile version of your website first, building that out to completion, and then transferring over that design and expanding it into a desktop version. That way you can ensure you're prioritizing your website design based on the context that most potential clients are likely to find you from. So here are a few tips to make sure that your website is optimized for SEO on mobile. First, make sure you have a responsive website. Responsive simply just means that when you shrink down the website size, that the design shrinks down with it. If you already have a website up and running and you're not sure if it's mobile responsive yet, just go ahead and do a search for your website on your phone or iPad and see what it looks like. That mobile responsive design is standard with website builders like Squarespace, Wix, WordPress, or if you hire a designer to design your website for you. But it is worth double checking with them that they know what that means. Tip number 2, make sure your mobile page speed is fast. If your website isn't loading fast enough, then after a few seconds, somebody's gonna X out of that window and Google's just gonna interpret that as this website wasn't what that person was looking for, regardless of the reason. When somebody clicks on your website and then X's out almost immediately, this is called a bounce rate. And if your bounce rate is too high, Google assumes that there's something about your website that's wrong and it starts to put you lower and lower in the search results. Fortunately, Google's created a tool to help us address our load speed, and I'm a little embarrassed because I'm going to show you the load speed for private practice skills and it's bad. Folks, this is going to be an example of what not to do. When I say I learned things the hard way, I mean it for realsies. Do as I say and not as I do. This tool is called Google PageSpeed Insights Tool. So let's go there together. Oh dear, I told you it was bad. I mean, you don't have to know a whole lot to see the red color and the low number is not good. So let's take a look at how this PageSpeed Insight tool works. One factor I really love about this tool is it has this area where you can select your website page speed for mobile or for desktop. So from here, you can just scroll down and it's going to give you information about what you can do in order to increase your page load speed and here specifically on mobile. Now, unless you're already well versed in the art of website creation, a lot of this stuff is going to sound like mumbo jumbo to you. Fortunately, each of these items in the opportunity section has a little arrow, and then once you click on it, it gives you information about how to fix that issue. I don't want you to feel like you have to go through each of these and address all of them because you'll be here all day. And if we toggle that back up, this is clearly the biggest issue slowing things down. So even if I did nothing more than fix that issue, it would be absolutely worth it. You can also keep scrolling down in the diagnostics section and see if there's anything up top that also feels easy to fix. I've linked to Google's Pagespeed Insight tool in the description box, so feel free to check it out there. And tip number 3 for your website's mobile SEO is to improve the mobile user experience. Now, remember how I mentioned earlier that Google takes a look at how long someone spends on your website and then factors that in when it's determining where your website shows up in search results? Well, if you have a user-friendly mobile website for your potential clients, they're likely to spend much more time on your website, they're more likely to click around, and all of that is giving feedback to Google that you have a good website that people want to see. Now, it's obvious to see how this is a double whammy win, because by improving your mobile user experience, not only are you boosting your SEO for mobile, which is nice, but also potential clients, if they're having a good experience using your website on their phone, they're far more likely to book with you. And that's kind of the point of the whole thing, isn't it? With that said, here are a couple of easy tweaks you can make in order to improve the user experience on your mobile website. First, make sure your primary form of contact is a clickable link and displayed prominently. Tip number 2 is to make sure any clickable links on your website are large enough for clunky fingers to select. The best way to check this out is to go to your website on your mobile device and try clicking all of your hyperlinks on your page. And if anything feels fussy to click, just go ahead and make that text larger. Similarly, you want your menu and all subheaders to be easy to find and easy to click on. Also, you want to make sure that your font is large enough to read on mobile. Again, just open your website on your mobile device and see if it's easy to read. If not, make the font larger. And whenever possible, keep your mobile layout as clean as you can. If the desktop version of your website has a few columns, let's say, and the mobile version of your website is simply shrinking that down so you can still see all of those columns, that is just way too much all on that teeny tiny screen. So it's helpful to keep things streamlined and clean when you're looking at your website on a mobile device. And the last quick tip for user experience is to avoid pop-ups on mobile. Now, it's okay to use pop-ups in general, but pop-ups on the phone are 1, annoying, and 2, often incredibly difficult to X out of. Sometimes, again, that little X is hard to click on, and then people end up clicking on something other than what they wanted. Just don't do it. Well, those are all my quick tips to improve your SEO for mobile. If you're like me and you do the page speed check, for example, and you're getting worse than a failing grade, it's time to do some work. And just as an aside, if you're watching this thinking, like, Marie, what's your deal? Why aren't you fixing your website? I'm currently working with a professional web designer to do a complete redesign of my website, my branding, etc. So this is just one of those cases where I straight up did not know about this when I was DIYing my own website, even for private practice skills. And hopefully now that you're watching this video, you don't have to repeat my mistakes. Thank you to TherapyNotes.com for sponsoring this video. TherapyNotes helps with scheduling, notes, and billing, and now they've launched their Telehealth platform, which, by the way, is out of beta now. If you click the link in my description box, you can access their entire practice management software, including their Telehealth platform, for 2 months for free with no commitment. So I encourage you to check that out, because what have you got to lose? Well, I hope you found this video helpful as you optimize your website for SEO and get into SEO for mobile. Let me know in the comments if there's any other tips or questions that you have about SEO. And until next time, from one therapist to another, I wish you well. It's time for a screen recording. Thumbnail time. time. Private practice skills. Okay, calling it. We did it.